Hi.
Hi guys.
Hi, I'm Jo.
And I'm Christina.
And together we are As One
Creative.
Creative. Oh, all together now.
In stereo.
Today we're talking about fear and nerves. And the reason this is particularly coming up now is I posted something on Instagram yesterday. It was a picture of a book that I have that says Fearless, which you could read as Fearless or Fearless.
Yeah.
And I posted it on Instagram and I said, unless you're running from a dinosaur, which we don't do that often in our lives, that most of the time fear is not even telling you the truth. It just pushes your buttons and it gets in the way in dance and in life. And I was reminded as I posted that, and it seemed like it resonated with a few people, to share with others, I guess, the difference that I found and that we've talked about before. Because I used to think when I was younger that it was all nerves, but that my nerves just maybe had some more teeth than what other people's seemed to have.
Right. And you actually wrote an article on this recently for Dance Life. You guys should definitely check that out because Jo talks about a lot of different ways to deal with that, or ways that she dealt with that, and she hit a lot of really important subjects that could be, really useful to you if you care to read it. We're going to include the let's include the
link.
That thing.
Gotcha.
Let's include the link at the end of this for you guys. But for me, just keeping it real and being totally honest, when I know now that what I had going on, like for example at auditions, I was totally scared to death. And if I had been able to recognize when I was going into an audition that it was totally fear hijacking my audition process, it's almost paralyzing. And I don't know if any of you have ever gotten to this point when you're auditioning for a scholarship at convention, or you're auditioning for a job or a gig in LA or in New York or anything, your local talent show at your high school. It can be, if you let your story keep going and the wheels keep turning, it can be totally paralyzing, and it will take over, and you'll totally lose yourself and the reason why you came, and really going for what you wanted. Because I think for most of us, we feel that insecurity of either we're going to make a fool of ourselves, we're not going to be able to learn the choreography, we're going to mess up, and everyone's going to think we're awful and we don't deserve this. In some way, it denotes that it's an insecurity, or we feel a lack in ourselves. And I know for me, when I finally, got over that hump of feeling paralyzed from the fear, I had to go back to like really engaging with the people that were around me. Like, I'm totally a people person. When I would go to auditions, I'd really chat with them, what's been going on with your life, and feel part of the community, as well as going outside and listening to a different piece of music and getting out of my head, or just thinking about the things that I loved, or just really getting involved with the process and staying focused and trying to turn off my mind to say, you're not going to mess up, it's going to be okay, you're going to get through it. And
remembering that no one's going to ask you to be an astronaut in that room.
Totally.
You're not being asked to speak 7 languages that you've never even heard before.
And and I think it's really good to just say that, even if you are just terrified beyond, you're not the only one there that's terrified beyond. Sure. I mean, everybody's got their own thing to deal with, and there's no shame. It's no shame in it.
There's no shame
Everybody's
in
got their
experiencing
thing
fear.
they're dealing with. Yeah,
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. Apparently, it's an absolutely day.
Absolutely.
And I think that's the thing for me. Just hearing you talk about what you were talking about and me mentioning the astronaut thing. For me, I was really most terrified of the unknown. What are they going to throw at me? If we're talking about dance specifically, what are they going to throw at me, and what if I don't know how to do it? And the potential shame involved in that, if I couldn't do what I was being asked to do, for me, became a massive fear that shut me down before I even got in the room. So of course, in those times when it got the better of me, I wasn't going to get the job. Because what went into the room was my fear representative rather than actually me. And fear shuts you down so much that you can't even access the best of who you are, because all you are in that moment is completely identified with your worst fears. And whether that's fear of getting the choreography wrong, fear of not being enough, fear of being too much, fear, so many things, fear of being seen, fear of not being seen,
fear of forgetting,
all of those things. And I think the major difference, like Tinny said, that I touch on in a little bit more depth in the article that I wrote about this, is that Fear will shut you down and stop you in your tracks. The difference between fear and nerves is just an anticipation. Nerves is that feeling we get when we're interested in doing a good job. It's about investing. It's about getting closer to something. It's about wanting to do a good job. And fear is about not wanting to show up at all. Fear puts us in a place of everything we're terrified of.
Yeah, totally. You just hide. You want to leave.
That's it. Yeah. And nerves gets us in a place of focusing on everything that we want. So nerves can be pretty full on too. Everybody gets different versions of nerves, but nerves can be wrangled. It's just like an overexcited puppy. There are things you can do to get your nerves in place.
Yeah.
But the fear stuff, it's really important to have. It's really important to have tools that work for you. And Tini said for her, it's about getting out of her head and into actually connecting with the moment. For me, I often say, in class and in life, this is not life or death. This is dance. Mm-hmm. I already know how to dance. No one's going to ask me to be the person next to me or the person on the other side. I just have to go in here and be me. But I have other things, like I've taken to writing down what I'm afraid of. Not because I want to celebrate it and multiply it, but for me, it's about decluttering my head. So at least if I'm speaking it onto a page, I'm spitting it all out, and sometimes I even put a big cross through it. Whatever works for you, and there'll be different things, but number one, knowing the difference in your body is really important, because fear looks like an absolute paralysis, and we start thinking of all the worst possible things. Nerves just looks like, what if I get that word wrong, or it's a more of a butterflies. I mean, sometimes the butterflies are on steroids, but depends on what it is. But it's a heightened emotional state, preparing you for what's to come next, whereas fear just says run, leave now, get as far as you can away from this, because of all these reasons why you're not equal to what's about to happen.
Right.
Sorry, I got very wordsy there. But ultimately, it's really super important to know the difference, because it will definitely help you if you want to continue to move forward with dance or whatever it is that you're doing.
Yeah, and I can promise you that once you can identify and find a way just to make that step forward into, I don't have to be afraid, and once you continue to progress in that, it will get so much easier and you will gain so much more confidence. It doesn't mean you won't have the off day where you might let fear get the best of you a little bit more than it should, because it happens to all of us.
That's called being, wait for it, a human being.
And just know that you're totally not alone in that everyone has felt that way or will feel that way again. I mean, we all have those days, and that you can get past it, and there's light at the end of the tunnel for you. You can keep going, and you will gain more confidence to not let the fear get the best of you, or you will find those tools to help you along.
Because if we can, so can everybody.
Absolutely.
All right.
There's the door.
Okay.
Word of the day.
Onward and upward.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.